Now brace yourselves, because what's leaking out of Miami tonight is the kind of story that ends careers, empties bank accounts, and drags an unsolved case straight back into the daylight. Homicide detectives just knocked on a door nobody expected them to knock on again, and the timing is so surgical, so precisely aligned with a certain reunion nobody was supposed to see, that even the most loyal fans are quietly logging off. Whispers coming out of the group chat say Chrisean Rock did not fly down to Miami for a Jesus exhibit, did not fly down for peace, did not fly down for healing. Chrisean Rock flew down for a sit-down, and the man across the table was Blueface. That's the claim tonight, and I promise you, by the time we finish walking through the receipts, the boat clip, the yellow shoes, the detective visit, and the sudden talk of leaving the country, you are going to understand why the whole internet is treating this like a slow-motion confession playing out in real time. Loves, let's not pretend this is normal. Chrisean Rock has been telling anyone with a microphone that she is done with Blueface, that she is celibate, that she is sober, that she is a mother first, that she is dedicated to her son Junior, and yet every single time the cameras catch her, she is somewhere she promised she would never be, next to someone she swore she would never touch. Blueface, on his end, has spent the last several weeks reminding the world that Chrisean Rock is not his girlfriend, that Junior is not his son, that Jaden is the one carrying his real family, and yet the man cannot stop being spotted next to Chrisean Rock in cities they both mysteriously travel to at the same time. That's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. And patterns, darlings, are what detectives look for. Let me set the stage, because context is everything here. Chrisean Rock landed in Miami days ago and told her audience she was going for spiritual reasons. What her audience actually got was a live-stream tour of clubs, boats, casinos, and photo ops with a man named Danza and his friend Lauren. Now Danza is not a stranger to Chrisean Rock's timeline. Chrisean Rock has been publicly flirting with Danza for weeks, and the internet already tagged the connection as a possible train situation, because Danza and Lauren are close, and Chrisean Rock is not being subtle about wanting to spend time with both of them. That alone would be enough gossip for a Sunday night. But then the boat clip dropped. You have probably seen it by now. A man in yellow shoes standing on a Miami boat, jewelry glinting, silhouette blocked but body language screaming familiar. The internet did what the internet does best, zoomed, cropped, compared, and concluded. That man, the sleuths say, is Blueface. Same shoes. Same chain. Same posture. And Chrisean Rock is right there next to him, allegedly drunk, allegedly laughing, allegedly sitting on his lap at a Miami casino later that same night. Blueface swore he was done. Chrisean Rock swore she was done. And yet here we are, one more time, watching the reunion cycle spin like a broken carousel. Neither of them will step off. But peel this back one layer, because the reunion is not even the real story. The real story is what may have driven Chrisean Rock and Blueface to link up in Miami this specific week. Because at the exact same moment those two were spotted on the water, a man named Quell, the same Quell who chittered online that Chrisean Rock paid him to put a hit on her ex Ronnie Doe, got a knock on his front door from Homicide detectives. Not a phone call. Not a follow-up email. A knock. And Quell went straight to a live stream to say the police want to see him in person on Monday, that they want to show him something, that they want him to look at things he cannot look at through a phone screen. That, loves, is not casual. That is investigative escalation. That is what happens when a case that supposedly went cold suddenly finds a match. So now let me ask you the question the whole timeline is asking. Why is Chrisean Rock in Miami right now? Why is Blueface allegedly in Miami right now? Why are Chrisean Rock and Blueface allegedly sharing a boat in Miami right now, on the exact same weekend that Homicide detectives circle back to the man who publicly claimed Chrisean Rock hired him for the worst possible reason? A coincidence at that scale is not a coincidence. It is a meeting. And a meeting like that has a purpose. Some are saying Chrisean Rock and Blueface are strategizing. Some are saying they are getting their story straight. Some are saying they are quietly making arrangements to leave the country. Nothing is confirmed. Everything is suggested. And every silence, every carefully staged live stream, every deleted post is starting to look like a page torn out of a playbook. Add to that the fact that Chrisean Rock's own sister just posted a video using the Netflix documentary sound. The caption read that she was practicing for her brother Ronnie's future documentary series, about how they tried to silence him and only made him louder. Read that again. They tried to silence him. That is not the vocabulary of a family that believes their brother died randomly. That is the vocabulary of a family that believes their brother was targeted. And when a grieving sister uses the word silence in public, on a platform where every phrase is dissected, that is a signal. That is a flare. That is a message aimed straight at whoever the family thinks pulled a trigger they cannot yet name. Meanwhile, darlings, Chrisean Rock is doing what Chrisean Rock always does when the walls start closing in. She performs. She live streams. She flirts. She dances. She sits on Blueface's lap at a Miami casino and pretends the world outside the frame does not exist. But the world outside the frame is loud right now. The world outside the frame contains detectives, subpoenas, digital forensics, phone records, and a public that has already made up its mind. Chrisean Rock cannot outrun the timeline. Blueface cannot outrun the timeline. And Junior, Chrisean Rock's own son, the child Blueface publicly denied again this week, is sitting somewhere with a family member while his mother makes headlines for all the wrong reasons. Let me talk about Junior for a second, because this part hurts. Chrisean Rock left Junior with a relative, allegedly her sister Tesla, or one of the aunts, before flying to Miami. Junior did not come. Junior never comes. Junior is the accessory Chrisean Rock trots out when she needs an audience, and Junior is the burden Chrisean Rock hides when the party is calling. Blueface once again went online this week to say Junior is not his, smash those cheeks, nothing to see here, that was the vibe of the entire statement. And still, somehow, Chrisean Rock ended up on a boat with the same man who publicly rejected her child 3 days earlier. If that does not tell you exactly who Chrisean Rock is, nothing ever will. Now brace yourselves for the Nyjah angle, because Nyjah, the woman Blueface is currently branding as his real girlfriend, the mother of the child he actually claims, is watching all of this in real time. Nyjah is pregnant. Nyjah is publicly loyal. Nyjah has told her followers that actions speak louder than words. And Blueface is currently showing Nyjah exactly what his actions look like: a boat, a casino, a lap, an ex he supposedly cut off, and a Miami skyline that has no explanation attached. Some are saying Nyjah will leave the moment the baby is born. Some are saying Nyjah is too invested to move now. But everyone agrees that Nyjah has been handed the same script Chrisean Rock, Jaden, and every woman before them was handed, the script that says he will change, and then never does. But peel this back another layer, because the pattern is louder than any single scandal. Blueface has never claimed one woman exclusively. Blueface has told his audience, on camera, that he smashes cheeks, his own words, and that not every woman gets the girlfriend title. And every time a woman like Chrisean Rock, or Jaden, or Nyjah believes she is the exception, the timeline reminds her she is just the next chapter. Chrisean Rock believed she was the exception once. Chrisean Rock got jail time, a public breakdown, and a child Blueface denies. Jaden believed she was the exception. Jaden is still online, still tolerating, still spinning the same wheel. Nyjah is next in that line, and the only question is when the line resets. Whispers in the timeline are saying that this reunion between Chrisean Rock and Blueface is not romantic at all. Some believe it is business, a chain, a debt, a photo package, a monetized fake relationship arc that will drop as content in a week or two. Some believe it is transactional in a much darker way, a strategy meeting for two people who suddenly need to align stories now that Quell is being summoned in for questioning. Blueface has publicly said he never gave Chrisean Rock a chain, so the chain excuse falls apart. And if the chain excuse falls apart, the only motives left are the two nobody wants to say out loud: either Blueface and Chrisean Rock are still involved romantically, or they are involved in something adjacent to Ronnie Doe's case. Neither option is a good look. Both options are being whispered about in the same breath. Circling back to Quell, because Quell's clip is the piece that ties every loose thread together. Quell got on a live stream, mid-sentence, mid-cough, mid-laugh, and told his audience that Homicide detectives just came to his door. He said he is scheduled to meet them in person on Monday. He said they want to show him things he cannot see through a phone. He said his 30 years, meaning a potential prison sentence, are on the line if the wrong dot connects. And then, in the same breath, Quell hinted that Chrisean Rock might be the one going down, that Shorty might be about to catch a case, that the detectives are trying to figure out who did what to Ronnie Doe. Quell has flip-flopped for weeks. First Quell said Blueface owed him $100,000. Then Quell said he was on the live with Ronnie the night Ronnie died. Then Quell said the whole thing was trolling. Now Quell is on a live stream saying the police are at his door, and suddenly he does not sound like he is trolling at all. He sounds shook. He sounds cornered. And here is the part the internet cannot stop replaying. Quell said, out loud, that he was excited when the detectives contacted him because it means Ronnie's family might finally be getting justice. He said the family has been in pain long enough. He said pay attention, because every time Ronnie's sister tries to speak about Ronnie's death, the family has to hold back, because the investigation is active, because they cannot expose what they think, what they know, what they might have. That single sentence is a landmine. Because if Ronnie's family knows something, and if the investigation is active, then every livestream Chrisean Rock has done in the past year is potential evidence. Every deleted tweet is potential evidence. Every trip Chrisean Rock has taken with Blueface is potentially a moment prosecutors will trace on a timeline. Now let me talk about the theory that is scaring people the most. Some in the timeline are suggesting that the reason Chrisean Rock and Blueface are together in Miami this specific week is because Chrisean Rock knows something is coming. Chrisean Rock announced weeks ago that she was leaving the country. Chrisean Rock's friend, on camera, said she already had her bags packed. That was framed as a wellness move, a mental health move, a getaway. But when you sequence the timeline, the country exit announcement, the sudden Miami trip, the alleged Blueface reunion, the detective knock on Quell's door, the pattern does not look like wellness. The pattern looks like flight preparation. And flight preparation is a word law enforcement uses when a person of interest starts making moves. But let me be crystal clear, loves, because this is where the guardrails matter. Nothing about Chrisean Rock's or Blueface's involvement in Ronnie Doe's case has been proven. No charges have been filed. No court documents name either of them. What exists right now is a mountain of circumstantial suggestion, a public that has already decided, and a homicide investigation that has just moved into a new phase. Chrisean Rock is entitled to due process. Blueface is entitled to due process. Quell is entitled to due process. But the court of the internet does not wait for court dates, and the court of the internet has already handed down its verdict. Whether that verdict matches the eventual real one is a story that will play out in the coming weeks, and if you are here, you are watching that story in real time. Add to that the strangeness of Chrisean Rock's response to Ronnie's death when it first happened. Chrisean Rock, who once dated Ronnie before Blueface, who once had Ronnie do a stretch of time for her, who once called Ronnie her ride or die, Chrisean Rock went quiet. Almost eerily quiet. Her first public reaction came weeks later, in a sit-down with Danza, and even then, what she said made the internet flinch. Chrisean Rock told a story about a dream she had before Ronnie died. She described it as a premonition. She described it as if she had seen it coming. And the internet, which had already been suspicious of her silence, took that dream story and filed it under evidence. Was it a coincidence? Was it storytelling? Was it a subconscious slip? Nobody knows. But the fact that Chrisean Rock even went on camera to describe a prophetic dream about her ex's death is the kind of moment forensic linguists will replay for a very long time. Meanwhile, darlings, Blueface on-camera history around Ronnie Doe is its own separate landmine. Blueface has publicly antagonized Ronnie for years. Blueface has publicly threatened Ronnie for years. Blueface has publicly claimed that everyone in Chrisean Rock's past would eventually pay a price. And the internet remembers every single one of those clips. If prosecutors ever build a case around motive, Blueface's own YouTube archive becomes Exhibit A through Exhibit Z. And if Chrisean Rock and Blueface are seen strategizing in Miami this week, the archive combined with the reunion becomes narrative gasoline. There is another wrinkle worth pausing on. Some in the timeline have started mentioning a woman named Carissa, alleging that Carissa was in Baltimore around the time Ronnie died. There is no confirmation of that claim. There is no receipt attached to it. It is currently rumor, floated by anonymous accounts, amplified by frustrated fans looking for any thread to pull. But once a name enters the timeline in a case like this, it does not leave. Carissa is now a search term. Carissa is now attached to Chrisean Rock's story whether Carissa wants to be or not. And if any single dot connects on the investigative side, every rumor that ever mentioned Carissa becomes a lead. Drop your verdict below, because here is where I need to hear you. Do you think Chrisean Rock and Blueface are simply repeating their toxic reunion cycle in Miami because that is what they have always done? Or do you think Chrisean Rock and Blueface are meeting in Miami because a homicide detective just knocked on Quell's door and the timeline is tightening in ways neither of them can control? Because the two versions of this story look identical on the surface, and only one of them lines up with the evidence. Now brace yourselves for the receipts pattern, because Chrisean Rock has done this exact move before. Every single time Chrisean Rock and Blueface have been caught reuniting in public, Los Angeles, Vegas, New York, and now Miami, the reunion happens, the internet erupts, and then 2 to 3 weeks later, one of them drops content that reveals what the reunion was actually about. The pattern is so predictable a certain segment of the audience has already placed bets on which platform the eventual reveal will drop on. But this Miami reunion is different, and everyone can feel it. This reunion has no album release attached. This reunion has no announcement calendar. This reunion happened in the same week that a homicide detective visited a witness. And that difference is why the timeline cannot look away. Chrisean Rock has always sold her audience on the fantasy that she is unbreakable. Chrisean Rock has told her fans she has killers behind her, that nobody can touch her, that she is protected. But protection in the streets and protection in a courtroom are two entirely different things. Chrisean Rock cannot live-stream her way out of a subpoena. Chrisean Rock cannot flirt her way out of a phone record. Chrisean Rock cannot dance her way out of a digital forensic report. And Blueface, the man who has treated the justice system like a nuisance for years, cannot smash-cheek his way out of a co-conspirator scenario, if one ever surfaces. The two of them are behaving in Miami like children who think the adults have stopped watching. The adults have not stopped watching. The adults have receipts. Circling back to Junior, because I refuse to end this piece without saying it plainly. Junior deserves better than every adult in his orbit. Junior did not ask to be born into this circus. Junior did not ask to be publicly denied on live stream. Junior did not ask to be handed off to relatives while his mother sits on his father's lap at a casino. Junior is the only innocent person in this entire timeline, and Junior is the one person almost never mentioned in the headlines. Chrisean Rock's silence about Junior when the cameras are pointed at Miami is louder than any accusation any critic could throw at her. Blueface's denial of Junior when Junior is a literal child is a permanent stain no reunion can wash off. Neither of them is prioritizing Junior. Both of them are prioritizing content, chaos, and each other. And Junior is somewhere else, waiting. Now, whispers in the timeline are also asking a different question. If Chrisean Rock and Blueface are meeting to align stories, what about the people around them? What about the friends who have been in every live stream? What about the extended crew that flies in and out of every city they visit? What about the assistants, the drivers, the videographers, the people who film the boat clips and the casino clips? Every single one of those people is a potential witness. Every single one of them holds phone footage that has not been posted publicly. Every single one of them could be subpoenaed. In the streaming age, there is no privacy. There is no clean getaway. There is always another camera. Add to that the sudden silence of certain accounts in Chrisean Rock's circle. Fans have noticed that several longtime affiliates have quietly stopped posting about Chrisean Rock this week. Some have deleted old posts. Some have gone private. Some have unfollowed. The internet reads this movement the way stock traders read a sudden sell-off, as an insider signal that something bad is coming. And silences, darlings, are the second loudest evidence in the digital age, right after screenshots. Blueface, on his end, is showing the classic tells. Blueface has been posting less. Blueface has been live streaming less. Blueface has been letting his affiliates speak for him. Blueface is quiet in a way Blueface is never quiet. And when a personality like Blueface, a man who lives for the reaction, suddenly goes calm, the internet reads it as either strategy or fear. Some are saying Blueface knows something the public does not know. Some are saying Blueface is preparing something the public will not like. Some are saying that for the first time in years, Blueface understands that a moment is bigger than he is. Whichever version is true, the calm itself is data. Peel this back one more layer, because there is a financial angle underneath the Chrisean Rock and Blueface reunion that almost nobody is discussing. Both of them have monetization streams that depend on their public relationship, live stream co-appearances, podcast bookings, drama-driven brand deals, merchandise tied to specific eras of their saga. Every time Chrisean Rock and Blueface reunite in public, both revenue graphs spike. Every live stream in the same week generates disproportionate ad revenue. So even if this Miami reunion is not romantic, even if it is not strategic in a legal sense, it is at minimum financial. Chrisean Rock and Blueface both know the algorithm rewards their reunions. Chrisean Rock and Blueface both know that a single Miami boat clip is worth more than a month of solo content. Whether they planned it that way or not, they are cashing the checks either way. Circling back to the Ronnie Doe timeline, because there is a chronology that needs to be spoken aloud. Ronnie was on a live stream the night his life ended. Ronnie had been publicly antagonizing Chrisean Rock for months. Ronnie had also been publicly antagonizing Blueface. Ronnie had claimed a paternity role in Junior's life that directly contradicted Chrisean Rock's public position. And then, in a moment that shocked the entire streaming ecosystem, Ronnie was gone. The internet immediately began pointing fingers. Chrisean Rock said nothing for weeks. Blueface said even less. Quell showed up on a live stream claiming credit and demanding money. Carlisa, Blueface's mother, publicly accused Chrisean Rock of lying about Ronnie's death. That chorus of confusion has never resolved. And now, with detectives moving, the resolution phase is beginning, whether Chrisean Rock and Blueface are ready or not. Meanwhile, darlings, Carlisa herself is a factor almost nobody is weighing this week. Carlisa has been the loudest anti-Chrisean voice in the Blueface family since day one. Carlisa has publicly stated that Chrisean Rock is not to be trusted around Junior. Carlisa has publicly stated that Chrisean Rock lies about Ronnie's death. And if Carlisa knows something the detectives have not yet found, Carlisa is exactly the type of witness who would speak the moment the investigative door cracks open. Carlisa has no incentive to protect Chrisean Rock. Carlisa's silence this week is worth watching, and Carlisa's noise this week, if it comes, will be worth screenshotting. Now brace yourselves for the digital forensics angle, because this is where the receipts become undeniable. In modern homicide investigations, the primary evidentiary sources are increasingly digital. Cell tower pings. Streaming platform metadata. IP addresses. Cash App and Zelle transaction histories. Location tags on Instagram posts. Group chat backups. Every single one of those data streams tells a story that live stream personas cannot outrun. If Quell was in communication with Chrisean Rock at any point around Ronnie's death, the receipts exist. If Blueface was in communication with anyone in Baltimore around that same window, the receipts exist. The receipts do not care about brand narratives. The receipts do not care whether Chrisean Rock and Blueface reunite in Miami. Detectives read them without emotion. Loves, that is why this Miami weekend feels so heavy. Because Chrisean Rock and Blueface are still performing for the cameras that reward them, while somewhere in a Baltimore precinct, a very different set of cameras, surveillance stills, dashcam pulls, tower logs, are being cross-referenced by people who do not care about aesthetics. Every live stream Chrisean Rock does this week is potentially a document. Every Instagram post Blueface makes this week is potentially a document. The performative economy that made Chrisean Rock and Blueface famous is the same economy that could ultimately implicate them. And that irony is the deepest layer of this entire saga. Circling back to the boat clip specifically, because there is a detail worth revisiting. The man in yellow shoes is not just wearing yellow shoes as a fashion choice. Blueface has worn those exact shoes in multiple public appearances over the past 2 weeks. Blueface was photographed in those shoes at a Los Angeles event. Blueface was live-streamed in those shoes at a studio session. Blueface's own Instagram, in the days before Miami, featured a post that included those shoes clearly in frame. So when the boat clip surfaced with a man in those exact yellow shoes standing behind Chrisean Rock, the internet did not need facial recognition. The internet had already been trained by Blueface's own content to know those shoes belonged to Blueface. Blueface got caught by Blueface's own posts. There is no more perfect example of the surveillance economy eating its own celebrities alive. Now brace yourselves for the final reframe, because I want to say something the timeline is not saying loudly enough. Chrisean Rock is not a cartoon. Blueface is not a cartoon. Quell is not a cartoon. Ronnie was not a saint. Every single person inside this saga is a complicated human being making complicated choices under conditions most people watching cannot imagine. That does not exempt any of them from accountability. That does not soften what the evidence might eventually reveal. But it does demand that we watch this story with clear eyes. Because if you flatten Chrisean Rock into a villain, you will miss the real story. And if you flatten Blueface into a monster, you will miss the real story. The real story is messier, sadder, more human, and more instructive than any villain narrative. Chrisean Rock and Blueface are the case study. Ronnie Doe was the casualty. Junior is the future consequence. And we are the audience whose attention created the market in the first place. Fam, tell me straight, where do you stand tonight? Do you believe Chrisean Rock and Blueface are two hurt people running the same cycle for the 50th time, or do you believe Chrisean Rock and Blueface are actively strategizing in Miami because they know something the detectives are about to find? Do you believe Quell is a scared trolling clout chaser or a genuine witness with a story that will crack the case wide open? Do you believe Ronnie's sister is grieving publicly or building publicly toward a legal outcome? These questions are the actual fork in the road for every viewer of this saga. Drop your verdict below and be specific. Do not just say Chrisean Rock is wrong. Tell me why. Do not just say Blueface is guilty. Tell me what evidence you are weighing. Do not just say Quell is lying. Tell me what part of his story does not add up. Because this comment section is going to be one of the most read comment sections on the platform this week, and the receipts you drop, the theories you post, the timelines you build and the replies, those are going to shape how this story gets covered by every other creator on this platform tomorrow. You are not just an audience. You are a research team. And this saga is your case file. The one thing I know for certain is that Chrisean Rock is not in Miami by accident. Blueface is not in Miami by accident. Quell is not sitting in front of a live stream camera trembling by accident. And Ronnie's sister is not posting Netflix captions by accident. Everything is happening on the same clock. Everything is aligned to the same week. And when reality aligns this cleanly, coincidence is the least honest word you can reach for. So here is where we land tonight. Chrisean Rock is on a boat, allegedly next to Blueface, allegedly drunk, allegedly laughing, allegedly enjoying a Miami weekend that looks glamorous on camera and looks suspicious in context. Blueface is playing the role of the ghost, everywhere and nowhere, denying everything and confirming nothing. Nyjah is watching from home, pregnant, silent, cataloging every screenshot. Junior is with a relative, unaware that his name is trending. Quell is preparing to walk into a homicide office on Monday and see whatever the detectives want him to see. Ronnie's sister is writing a caption that reads like a mission statement. And the audience, you, me, every person still watching, is doing the only thing left to do. Watching. Waiting. Documenting. Because the moment the truth breaks, this timeline will detonate. If you are new to this channel, welcome. This is the corner of the internet where we walk through every rumor, every receipt, and every reunion with the honesty the mainstream will not touch. If you want to stay, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and lock in, because the next chapter of Chrisean Rock, Blueface, Quell, and the Ronnie Doe investigation is going to break faster than any of us can post. And when it does, I want you here. I want you commenting. I want you screenshotting. I want you documenting. Because a story like this only stays honest when the audience refuses to blink. Loves, this has been a wrap, everything alleged, nothing personal, all entertainment. Take care of yourselves, protect your peace, and I will see you in the next one. Let me widen the lens for a second, because there is a broader context that makes the Chrisean Rock and Blueface Miami reunion feel even more surgical. Chrisean Rock has spent the last 12 months rebranding. Chrisean Rock filmed the Sober Mom era. Chrisean Rock filmed the Church Girl era. Chrisean Rock filmed the Reformed Victim era. Chrisean Rock filmed the Ride or the Widow era in the immediate wake of Ronnie's death. Every one of those eras came with a specific wardrobe, a specific caption strategy, a specific batch of aesthetic choices designed to reposition Chrisean Rock in the market. And every one of those eras has been contradicted by a live stream within weeks of launch. That is not accident. That is habit. And when the habit resurfaces this loudly, at this precise moment, the audience is right to read the reunion as one more brand pivot rather than a genuine spiritual reset. Meanwhile, Blueface has run the mirror version of that same playbook. Blueface has done the reformed father era. Blueface has done the responsible boyfriend era with Jaden. Blueface has done the loyal partner era with Nyjah. Blueface has done the ghost mode era where he vanishes from the timeline for weeks and returns as if nothing happened. Each Blueface era ends the same way, with Chrisean Rock reappearing in the frame, with Blueface publicly denying her, and with the entire cycle spinning up one more time for another round of monetized chaos. If you have watched this pair for even 6 months, you know this cycle. You can time it. You can predict it. And that is exactly why the Miami timing feels different this week, because the cycle is running while a homicide file is actively being reopened. Loves, let me pull in something the timeline has largely ignored. Danza is not a random side character in this saga. Danza is the man who sat down with Chrisean Rock for the first big platform interview she gave after Ronnie's death. Danza created a controlled environment where Chrisean Rock could say whatever she wanted without pushback. Danza is now the man Chrisean Rock is flirting with in Miami. Danza is also linked, through Lauren, to a broader friend group whose loyalty has not been publicly tested. When you place Chrisean Rock inside Danza's circle in the exact week that Quell is being summoned to a homicide interview, you get a very specific shape on the map. The shape is not a coincidence. The shape is a hedge. Chrisean Rock, allegedly, is building safety nets in every direction, with Danza, with Blueface, with Lauren, with anyone whose visibility can absorb some of the pressure that is building around her. Now brace yourselves for the truly uncomfortable question. If Chrisean Rock genuinely believed she had nothing to hide, would Chrisean Rock be flying between cities, changing companions, staging content this loudly, and reuniting with Blueface at the exact moment the police are moving? Or would Chrisean Rock be sitting quietly, cooperating publicly, mourning openly, and letting the investigation do its job? Every choice Chrisean Rock has made since Ronnie died has been the opposite of what a person with a clean conscience typically does. Whether that means Chrisean Rock is guilty of anything, legally, morally, or otherwise, is a question only the investigation will answer. But behaviorally, Chrisean Rock has been performing exactly like someone whose subconscious knows a spotlight is about to hit. Add to that Blueface's specific pattern of denial. Blueface has denied Junior, denied Chrisean Rock, denied being in Miami, denied being on the boat, denied being in the yellow shoes, denied every single piece of evidence the internet has assembled. And every denial has been quickly followed by a fresh piece of receipts. Blueface denies the boat, another angle drops. Blueface denies the casino, another photo drops. Blueface denies the reunion, another live stream comment tags him. It is a pattern of denial so consistent that the denial itself has become evidence, because Blueface only denies this loudly when Blueface has genuinely been caught. And this week, Blueface is denying at a volume that suggests Blueface knows the receipts are real. Peel this back one more time, because I want to talk about the emotional truth underneath all the receipts. Chrisean Rock, for all her chaos, is a young woman who grew up in circumstances that would break most people. Chrisean Rock has publicly discussed trauma, addiction, poverty, and instability that shaped her long before Blueface entered her life. That context does not excuse anything Chrisean Rock has allegedly done, but it does explain the survival patterns Chrisean Rock defaults to under pressure. Chrisean Rock performs when she is scared. Chrisean Rock reunites with familiar chaos when she is scared. Chrisean Rock leans into the exact dynamics that hurt her because those dynamics are the ones she knows. And if this Miami reunion is Chrisean Rock defaulting to the loudest chaos in her life, that is not strategy, that is trauma expressing itself in real time on a live stream. Add to that the meta question hovering over all of this. What role does the audience play in the outcome? The audience, every fan, every hater, every anonymous comment, every live stream lurker, is currently generating the loudest evidence in the case. The audience is timestamping receipts. The audience is aggregating clips. The audience is cross-referencing timelines. The audience is doing free investigative labor that detectives can and will subpoena. If Chrisean Rock and Blueface are trapped in Miami by anything, they are trapped by their own audience. The same audience they built, the same audience they monetized, the same audience they taught to watch every movement they make. That audience has become the surveillance system. And that surveillance system does not stop when the live stream ends.